seriously didn't know that things got this bad for this Rachel Zegler Snow White movie, but I'm reading this right now, and I'm worried about Rachel Zegler's career. I don't see how she comes back from this.
There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMDb for the new Snow White, and couldn't happen to a better person.
She doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
Controversy around the film began ever since we learned that there would be no Prince Charming because apparently he kissed her without consent, and also no woman needs a man to rescue her. The movie also used CGI for the 7 dwarfs rather than actors because they thought using real people would be offensive.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
I don't think they're gonna buy it. I don't think they're gonna watch it. I don't think they're gonna like it.
But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them.
You know they say, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
Do you know, how hard it is to find an attractive young woman in Hollywood who can act and sing? It's not hard. Who just isn't going to offend half the country.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messaging as Snow White sales compete for worst performing a live-action Disney adaptation ever.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed. She's unhappy. The reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too. They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
Some of you want us to hire actual dwarf humans, and then we thought we would have CGI magical creatures. How about this? We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarf.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, how badly did Disney's new Snow White flop after all?
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the
Disney's catching heat from every angle. And this time, it's not just a little backlash. It's a full-blown firestorm. Independent shop owners across the country are pulling everything Snow White off their shelves gone. And honestly, can you blame them? This isn't just about a fairy tale anymore. It's about a total PR disaster. So what happened? Oh, buckle up, Disney thought they were being innovative by giving Snow White a modern twist. But instead of updating the story, they basically lit the original on fire and danced on its ashes. No dwarves, no charm, no happily ever. After just chaos and smack in the middle of the mess, Rachel's Zegler, yep, her again, she's gone. From rising star to the face of Disney's downfall in record time, she's been acting like the whole studio was built just so she could show up, say a few lines, twirl in a dress, and cash a check, and people are not having it. One fan even joked that Rachel treats Disney like her personal fashion sponsor. She just shows up, models the dress and dips, and honestly, it's not far off.
Every one of the 18 hours I am in this Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead.
Now, if you think we're being dramatic, stick around. This whole situation is messier than a reunion episode of Real Housewives, and the tea is still pouring. Disney's been making eyebrow-raising decisions for a while. But this one might be their boldest fail yet, and the internet is dragging them for it. People are calling it tone-deaf, lazy, even insulting. And for a company that built its brand on magic, that's not a good look. So yeah, the House of Mouse might need a whole rebranding spell after this one. And we're just getting started. Did Disney really think no one would notice them flushing millions down the toilet faster than you can say once upon a time? Like, seriously, did they think the fans were blind? Let's rewind real quick. The original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs wasn't just some random cartoon. That movie built the Disney empire. We're talking 1937 legend status. It was the foundation of the whole fantasy machine. Touching that's like messing with grandma's secret pie recipe. You switch one ingredient and boom, you've just started a family war that'll be talked about for decades. But did Disney care? Not even a little. They hit the green light on a remake that's being dragged harder than a bad lip sync on live TV. Test audiences didn't call it a movie. They called it a TikTok compilation with a plot crisis. No heart, no soul, just a mashup of trending aesthetics and random edits. One person literally said it felt like the algorithm directed it.
A few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad business. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story about how woman leads revolutionary uprising and she don't need.
Now here's the wild part. Instead of going, okay, maybe we messed up, Disney went full delusional mode. They poured even more cash into saving it, more PR, more post-production, more spin. Like they thought a little glitter could hide the fact that the whole thing was falling apart. According to insiders, Disney believed the name alone, the brand, was untouchable. That anything with the castle logo would automatically win. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Fans came in like digital snipers, finding every weak spot and exposing it online. The acting called flat, the writing roasted, the vibe cringeworthy with a sprinkle of desperation. As one viral comment put it, turns out this fairy tale wasn't bulletproof, it was full of holes. And the internet didn't hold back one bit. Now, let's talk about the cash massacre. Snow White 2025 is shaping up to be one of Disney's biggest money pits ever. We're talking a disaster so bad you can almost hear the execs clenching their jaws in those glossy boardrooms each time a new box office forecast drops. It's lower than the last. Early viewers storming out of nearly empty theaters looking dazed, like they just sat through a student film directed by a confused mime. Some said it felt like an art house fever dream, but in the worst way possible.
Story is Snow White. Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever. Let me say that again, ever.
I mean, look at this right here. Snow White crashes 70% in second weekend box.
And then came the IMDb reviews. Yikes, the movie's rating plummeted to a shocking 1.6 out of 10, like the entire internet got together and decided to roast this film into ashes. Review after review says the direction is so bizarre, even people who usually live for cringy cinema can't defend this. One social media is flooded with posts saying it's the clearest proof yet that Disney's magic wand might finally be out of batteries. And oh, the memes unmatched. People are dragging the woke dwarfs for ghosting the movie, comparing the plot to a school play written during detention and calling the visuals Netflix horror filter vibes. And it's not just the story catching heat. Fans are roasting the tone, the lighting, even the camera angles. Everything about it screams expensive mistake. And if you thought maybe it still had a shot, yeah, not looking good. People are saying the storyline is such a chaotic mess. It feels like an over-caffeinated intern cut and pasted scenes from three completely different movies. 1 minute Snow White's belting out a pop anthem like she's auditioning for The Voice, and the next, she's trapped in some moody dystopian landscape that looks like it was borrowed from a rejected sci-fi script. It's giving major identity crisis. And forget about the charming prince. He's gone, vanished, replaced by a clunky empowerment subplot that feels as last minute as a celebrity cameo nobody asked for.
Zoom in right there, that's it. 163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of 5. Like, you know, sometimes you go to McDonald's,
Yeah.
it's 1.6 out of 5.
Yeah.
1.6 out of 10.
Because once more, look at this right here. This movie has crashed in the second week that it's been out. 70% this movie crashed.
Critics aren't holding back. Either they're saying it's not even about uplifting strong female characters anymore. It's just a giant flashing sign of a message that crashes into the plot like a truck with no brakes. And that final dance scene, oh, don't even get me started. Everyone's floating around in all white outfits like they accidentally wandered off the set of a low-budget cult documentary. One guy walking out of the theater mumbled, "That's 30 seconds I'll never get back." And honestly, he wasn't alone at this point. You'd think Disney would have learned that messing too hard with a classic usually ends in disaster, but nope.
The movie went over budget, right? Went over about $250 million. They had the whole dwarf midget issue where they decided they weren't going to have any midget actors, right? They were having DEI-inspired magical creatures to replace.
I remember back in 2023 when this was going on and all the little people making videos saying, well, wait, there's so few roles for us in Hollywood. We're being passed over for this. You could have cast seven little
Peter
people.
Dinklage.
Here we are. It looks like nobody passed along the "Don't Ruin," a classic memo. And at the heart of this whole storm, Rachel Zegler, crowned by the internet as the queen of controversies, or maybe just queen of questionable comments. Grab your snacks, because Rachel has officially become one-woman PR disaster. Yeah, she came in hot with some early hype thanks to a few musical roles. But when it comes to Snow White, her attitude's been colder than a deep freezer. She straight up called the original story outdated, and even threw shade at the prince, saying he gave off stalker vibes like, girl, what? There's even that moment where she said, "I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version," as if rewriting history with a sassy twist suddenly makes it better. Because nothing says honoring a legacy like publicly bashing it while collecting Disney checks. Then she really dialed it up by saying she should be paid for every hour she had to wear the Snow White dress that one did not sit well. With fans, one furious commenter clapped back, "If you hate the role so much, why take it?" And honestly, the internet agreed. Her social media turned into a full-on war zone. Critics called her arrogant, and Rachel, she fired back, labeling them stuck in the past. Yeah, because calling out your future audience is such a great marketing move, right?
Her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that.
Some people are now saying the backlash is all part of a coordinated smear campaign. But whether that's true or not, and one thing's clear, this casting choice brought way more drama than Disney ever bargained for. A lot of folks are saying Rachel Zegler isn't being targeted, she's just doing the damage herself. She's been busy retweeting praise from her fans like she's on a victory tour while brushing off everyone else as outdated fossils. Yep. If there was ever a crash course in how not to handle public image, she's teaching it live, front row seats, no tuition needed. Meanwhile, somewhere in the Disney office, the PR team is probably curled up with the script whispering, "Please make it stop," like they're in a slow-motion horror movie.
Now that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White, what did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
There are 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
People have real problems and no one gives a if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by.
But oh, the drama doesn't end with her. The movie itself about as subtle as a brick to the face when it comes to pushing political messages. There's no smooth blending of new values into the old story now. It's like they strapped a fire hose to a social justice manifesto and just let it rip. Every scene feels like it was workshopped by a dozen different focus groups, each shouting louder than the last. And somehow both the left and the right are roasting it. That's not just a flop. That's an Olympic-level misfire, political commentators are calling it. Lecture first, entertainment later, and the script feels like it was written with a checklist ad. Empowerment Remove Dwarfs Sprinkle in Moral Speeches. Disney says they're celebrating Snow White's timeless bravery, right? Because we all remember that heartwarming scene in the original where she pauses mid-song to lecture the forest animals about modern-day ideology. If you were holding out hope that the producers might finally figure out that mixing fairy tale magic with modern messages takes real skill, yeah, this one's going to let you down faster than a firework that fizzles out mid-word on the street. Disney's corporate HQ is in full-blown meltdown mode. Picture a clown car on fire spinning in circles. It's that kind of chaos. Sources say there are last-minute product pullbacks happening in stores, with some employees now calling Snow White merch toxic inventory. Yikes, financially, it's a complete nightmare. The movie's production budget ballooned past $250 million. And that's before they even started the marketing circus, which, let's be real, spent most of its energy trying to convince us this whole thing was enchanting. Now, with ticket sales nosediving, big names like Bob Iger are feeling the pressure. Investors fuming. Think Grumpy Troll under a bridge levels of Mad Minus. The Charm Insiders say a few top execs are quietly updating their resumes just in case this flop hits so hard it rattles the whole upper deck.
Be a leader as a female and fall in love and be rescued by a prince. Like, that's incongruous. Bull. That's only the left's version of what it means to be a strong woman or female empowerment.
Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights. Come on.
Go get Cheshire Cat.
Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
Wow, what a scene.
I don't need your business.
So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern day feminism and the left in general.
And speaking of rattled staff on the inside, they've started calling the project Snow Wrong. And that's being nice, rumor has it. There are way nastier nicknames being whispered behind closed doors. Maybe, just maybe, that they should have listened to those first test audiences, the ones who basically begged Disney to stop while they still had a chance. But hey, hindsight's 2020, especially when it's projected on an empty theater screen. Now, let's zoom all the way out. The entire entertainment world is watching this meltdown like it's the 4th of July fireworks everywhere, smoke in the air. And a few people ducking under chairs. Rival studios are straight up taking notes on how not to handle a legacy title, because if Disney's golden child can crash and burn this badly, nobody is safe. But this ain't just about Snow White. This whole disaster lit a bigger conversation on fire, one that's been bubbling under the surface for a while. People are finally asking, does Hollywood's obsession with remakes need to chill out? No matter how slick the CGI, it can't save a weak script or an actress who throws shade at the very story she's supposed to honor. Fans aren't stupid. They're over the lazy reboots, the fake nostalgia, and the watered-down messaging stuffed into every line, and hopefully this train wreck makes studios pause before they go bulldozing another childhood classic for clout. Because what's the moral of this Snow White remake? Number 1, maybe don't steamroll a fairy tale just to chase some Twitter buzz. Number 2, if you're Rachel Zegler, it might be time to rethink the whole mock the fan strategy. Especially if you want those fans to show up at the box office. Spoiler, they're not emotionally, not physically, not financially, from strange creative calls to awkward interviews and PR fails that made things way worse. This might go down as Disney's most expensive lesson in what not to do.